What's going on, guys? I'm the filmmaker and I love movies, and welcome back to another video. And welcome, yes, we're doing another one of these, yes, every month now. You're getting used to it. It is the monthly recap video. This is where I talk about every film I watched in the previous month. So this is every film that I watched in April 2021 to be exact. Now I'm just going to load up trusty Letterboxd, which helps me because I log every film I watch, so it's all on here. I'm going to tell you the number that we got to this month, since I tell you how many films I've watched in this month. So in the month of April, I watched 74 films. So compared to the other months, this is, well, actually, February I watched 73, so I'm one up on February. But in March, I watched 80, and of course in January I watched 87. And I don't think I'll ever be able to come back to 87, because now I'm back at college full time, so I've got less time on my hands. And soon, May, you know, we're in May now, I'm going back to work soon, so that's exciting. And also the cinemas are reopening in the UK as well, so stuff is reopening, so I'm gonna have less time, but again, I'm gonna be making money to buy Blu-rays and stuff like that. So anyway, so yeah, let's get into it. Okay, so I kicked off the month with All the President's Men. Now, I don't know what I was thinking when I was going into this film. I thought it was going to be some kind of gritty 70s kind of FBI crime thriller kind of film. It's not really. It's kind of like, it reminded me a lot of Spielberg's The Post. You know, it's about these two journalists trying to crack down, and a lot of it I didn't understand really, but it's still really, really well directed. Interesting use of the split diopter shot. There's loads of split diopter shots in this film. You've got Dustin Hoffman and Robert Redford, who give terrific performances. It's really fantastically acted and directed. And yeah, I'd recommend it. I'll probably have to watch it again to get a full grasp of the story and everything, but it was still really solid. And then I watched Run, the new thriller. Well, not really new. It just hit the UK. I know everyone in America got it on Hulu. We just got it in the UK at the beginning of April, and it was a solid thriller, nothing more. Then I watched The Ten Commandments, the 1923 silent version. Well, this is also directed by Cyril D. DeMille, who did the epic 1957, was it? Ten Commandments, which I watched later on. And this was just not too good at all, like really quite deathly boring, like bored out of my skull boring in this. I mean, it's split into two parts. You've got the religious epic part of the film, which was pretty good actually. Then you go, and it moves into modern day, and it tries to apply the Ten Commandments to a modern day love story. It just didn't work for me. Then I rewatched The Shawshank Redemption. I've only seen this film twice. This is the first time I rewatched it in like 3 years, and it's still as fantastic as I remember it. It's just one of those undoubtedly great films that you can sit back, relax, and enjoy. Well, you know, it's quite intense in some moments, but everything makes this film. The performances, the great voiceover by Morgan Freeman, the really good direction as well. It's so well made with all the right emotions. Then I continued with watching the Before trilogy. I watched Before Sunset, and heads up, I rated every film the same rating of a 4.2. I desperately need to rewatch the trilogy. It's already one of my favourite trilogies of all time, and probably one of the best. It is so good, and this film is no exception to that. It beautifully, really smoothly transitions on from the previous film, taking, you know, addressing what happens in it. And there's a few things I missed. I enjoyed in the first one how they just interacted with random people. That was really fun. This one they don't. It's just about these two characters. We'll see what I think on rewatch, but I really enjoyed it. And then I watched The Ten Commandments, and it was 1956, now not 1957. So, you know, don't correct me in the comments because I corrected myself here. So it is undoubtedly epic, this film. It's like what, almost 4 hours, maybe more than, I don't know. It's a long film, and it was enjoyable. I do enjoy these massive, overblown Hollywood epics. This is a biblical Hollywood epic, and it's not at the heights of something like Lawrence of Arabia, but it's not as bad. Well, these films aren't bad, but it's, you know, Spartacus is one of the lower ones, just because it's just so formulaic, especially for a Kubrick film. But the special effects in this film were so good, like they were amazing. I did find some of the character dynamics great, and the film definitely had some thrilling moments, but it is definitely drawn out. Like, it's long, and it doesn't need to be that long, but it's something I would recommend watching, actually. You know, if you love these type of films, and, you know, it's like one of those iconic Hollywood films that you should probably watch. And then I watched Minari. Wow, this is now ranked my #1 film of 2020. It was just so good. I was a little apprehensive because I knew it was being able to rent in the UK, and I thought, well, if it's going to be £15 to rent, I'm probably going to rent it. It was £10. I thought, okay, I'll pay for that. Rented it for £10 and loved it. It was just, because it's about family. In the essence of it, at the core of it, it's about family, and I could connect to so many elements of this film, so many personal elements of the film. It's just so great to watch. It's so nice. The film looks lovely. It's so nice and green. It's very emotional. I just really liked it. I can't wait to watch it again. Then I watched The Invisible Boy. It was fine. It was your typical B movie from 1950s. Then I watched Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory. This is something I have to watch every Easter day. It's just, you know, eating chocolate and everything. It's just such a warm, fun film. Then I watched Bamboozled. This is probably my favourite Spike Lee film, maybe even his best. It was just really interesting and had a lot to say. It's kind of like it's got such an angry fighting voice throughout, but it's just so funny as well. He mixes those two emotions so brilliantly. And I've streamed this on the Criterion channel. It's no longer the Criterion channel, but it is available on Criterion Blu-ray, so I may pick that up. That's for anyone wanting to watch this film. I mean, I highly recommend it. It's great. Then I watched The Fountain by Mr. Aronofsky. Or, you know, yeah, is it Aronofsky? Darren Aronofsky? I think it is. Anyway, this was a mixed bag. Definitely more good than there was bad. Yeah, the overall themes explored were interesting to an extent. I could see where he was going, but maybe didn't quite work. Then I watched The Wrestler, which I found just slightly better just because it was so raw. That's how I describe this film, as raw. You've got an outstanding performance by Mickey Rourke. The way the film is shot, it's such a human story. And it's really interesting for Aronofsky to be directing something, you know, usually he's making something kind of weird and crazy, but this is just kind of a down-to-earth human story. Then I watched That Cold Day in the Park. This was very rocky, another Altman film that it was just really rocky, and it's not essential viewing. It doesn't really grab me. And then I watched California Split, which it started off really strong. I thought, great, I'm gonna love this. And then in the second act, it just lost itself. So much was happening that didn't need to happen. We were just wasting time on characters I didn't care about. But then the ending was really strong as well, so yeah. Then I watched Black Swan, which really impressed me. I'm gonna have to watch it again. I really enjoyed it. I thought there's a lot to love. It does a lot, and I just wish Winona Ryder was in it more, but I understand why they chose to hire an actress like Winona Ryder and barely use her, so that was, you know, quite smart, I suppose, but I just like her a lot. She's a great actress. But the star of the show, Natalie Portman, gives a great performance. I love the music in this. It's grand and booming. One day I hope to watch this in the cinema just to feel the music of it, because the music is just so... and I just love the direction. I love the direction. Camera work was so good. Anyway, then I watched The Public Enemy, which was really good, really strong actually for one of the 1930s gangster picture. Better than Little Caesar in my opinion. You know, it was really... Yeah, just some really great moments where I didn't expect to happen. Then I watched Shanghai Express. Get ready, because I've watched every single Joseph von Sternberg film starring Marlene Dietrich in this month. So I started off with Shanghai Express, and it really was great. The visuals, Marlene Dietrich, she was so good. You know, I could just watch her walk through this train all day long and just have casual conversations with people. The direction was great. Yeah, she just looked great. Everything looked great. It was really interesting. And there was some great moments. Then I watched Duck Soup, my first Marx Brothers film, and it was really, really funny. You know, if you haven't seen the Marx Brothers, I highly recommend them, especially Duck Soup, which I just watched. It was great. Then I watched Lost Honor of Katharina Blum, which was my blind buy from the Criterion 50% off flash sale. And yeah, this was really good. The plot and happenings of the film are nothing new. It's showing how the media can twist an image of someone killing their honour. That's why it's Lost Honor of Katharina Blum. and killing their reputation. Really, you know, it's been done before, but it was done really well here. The film is just shot so well. It was 1975, so you've got that great 1970s cinematography, which I always love. Then I watched Get Carter. This was just Michael Caine killing people, a lot of fun. Then I watched The Maltese Falcon, great noir. Nothing really more to say about that. I mean, I'm trying to get through them as quickly as I can. Then I rewatched Blade Runner, and it's just such a good film and one of the best sci-fi films ever made. If you haven't seen it, I highly recommend. Watch the final cut. If you're going to watch anything, watch the final cut. Avoid the theatrical cut at all costs. Then I watched Rio Grande with John Ford directing, John Wayne starring, and it was really strong. I really liked this. Sometimes the story lacked engagement, but it definitely picks up when conflict comes out, and we have some great sequences directed by, of course, the great John Ford. Then I watched Napoleon Dynamite. It was a quirky comedy. It felt so much like early Wes Anderson. I just feel like they watched Bottle Rocket and then made Napoleon Dynamite. If I was younger and watched this, I probably would like it more now, but I was okay. Then I watched Stalker. Wow. The film left quite the impression on me. It really did. I mean, this is my first Tarkovsky, and he slowly pulls you in until you've lost all sense of your surroundings. It's truly hypnotic. From the long, lingering shots to the sound design, I truly believed. And that's one thing Stalker is about, believing. It's about so much, and I don't understand all of it. And it creates an atmosphere I've never felt before through just the shots, the lingering shots, the sound design, the pacing, the film itself is just an atmosphere, and I just don't understand it yet. And very soon you'll see. I actually rewatched it pretty much immediately to truly fully appreciate it, but we'll get to that in a minute, because then I watched A Streetcar Named Desire. I've said this before, but it's just a film that I respect more than I actually enjoy. It just felt, I mean, it touches on very interesting things. It's got great performances, but it just didn't really strike a chord with me. Then I watched Who's Afraid of Virginia Woolf, which was great. Terrific performances by Elizabeth Taylor and Richard Burton. Really well directed by Mike Nichols. He makes it very cinematic. There's some brilliant moments, some really hilarious moments as well. Oh, it's great. You've got to watch it. And yeah, then I watched Stalker again. Just for the context of when I watched this, I watched Stalker Friday night, and then I watched it Saturday night. So there you go for that. And yeah, I just find it so difficult to articulate my thoughts on the film. There's just so much to love. The very fact that I'm having this experience, this relationship with the film, speaks volumes of Tarkovsky's masterfulness. If that's a word, masterfulness. He creates something so interesting, and you know, like I said, you know, just because I'm having this experience, this kind of dialogue with a film, that's something to be applauded, and that's something that, you know, not many films are able to accomplish. And then I watched Badlands. I don't love this as most people do. I thought it was quite good, but nothing that really kind of I fully connected with or fully appreciated. I thought it was just quite good. It was interesting to see Malick's directorial debut. It had some good moments. Then I watched Flash Gordon. This film is just so fun and so silly. I couldn't help but have a good time with it. It's just got a great start, a great ending, but the second act, that's where things just dip, and it's just kind of like, oh, you know, things just gonna get lost and everything. It was just, I was a little apprehensive of pressing the play button to watch this film, but I'm glad I watched it. Then I watched Before Midnight, finishing the Before trilogy, and I was unsure the direction this film would go in, and at the beginning there was a quite big surprise. I thought, oh wow, this is the future now. This was really interesting, and I was hooked from start to finish. Yeah, just the writing and the acting is just phenomenal here, and obviously the long takes are so effective. This is throughout the entire trilogy I'm talking about here, and of course this film. I mean, I don't know, I feel like I enjoyed this maybe more than the other two. It's so hard to rank them. That's why I've rated all three the same rating, because I can't say I prefer one over the other, because I enjoyed the direction this film took, but then the other films are so much more light and fun, but not fun, you know, just relaxing to watch, and so is this one to an extent. But I really just enjoyed seeing the progression of this relationship throughout the years. It was just so such a journey that I was taken on. It was so good. Then I rewatched Punch Drunk Love. It's still amazing, still love it. And then I rewatched Sunset Boulevard, and it improved upon rewatch. It was really great. Gloria Swanson gives an outstanding performance, and Billy Wilder's direction's so good in this. It's so energetic, it's so, and the voiceover, my God, is it great. And then I rewatched Bicycle Thieves, and I can't believe it. When I first watched this film, I gave it a 3.7 out of 5. Are you kidding me? This film is so good. I could write paragraphs on this film. It's just not only the quintessential Italian neorealism film, but it's just, when it first released, only a few years later, when they were, one of the magazines was polling one of the greatest films of all time, I think this film topped the list. It was, for good reason. It's just so good. And then I watched How the West Was Won, and I had such a good time with this film. It was like, wow, I had a great time. 1962, the cast is incredible. The cast is just amazing. It's so wide. I think it was shot on a Cinerama camera, an Ultra Panavision 70 camera with a Kodak Ektar 27mm lens. It's one of the big wide films. It's like Tarantino's Hateful Eight. Very, very wide. And yeah, it was great. It was a nice, big, spanning, epic film. Then I watched One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest. It was a very strong film. Me and my good friend Archie at Film Geek 13 do talk about this film in depth on our Oscar Talk podcast, since we covered the 1976 Oscars, which is why I watched Dog Day Afternoon. A fantastic, excellent film. I just, I loved how the camera work was just so, it felt improvised. I didn't know what was going to happen next due to the camera work, due to just this craziness of the situation. It's so hard to believe this actually happened. Then I watched Kiss Kiss Bang Bang. I felt this film was slightly too self-indulgent at points. I thought, it didn't really grab me. It didn't really do much for me. It just didn't do anything for me, really. And then I watched Eastern Promises, David Cronenberg film. It was really good. It was quite good. I thought it was solid. It was really kind of satisfactory, solid film. It was really well shot, and I just really enjoyed it. Then I watched Sound of Metal. It was great. The sound design, brilliant. I just really enjoyed the story of this film, and what happened. The ending was so good. It was really good. And then I watched Dr. Zhivago, which was really great. It was a David Lean epic. I've been meaning to watch this film for a very long time now, and I didn't expect it to be centered around a romance, and I didn't mind it actually. I quite enjoyed it. I liked the non-linear kind of style structure of the film. So yeah. Then I watched The Blue Angel. This was the first time Josef von Sternberg and Marlene Dietrich collaborated together. And it was a German film that they did, and it wasn't very strong. It was interesting. I liked what they did with a certain character played by Emil Jannings, and what they do there. And of course, they use Marlene Dietrich really well here for her, not only her looks but her performance skills. It's all kind of centered around her and this guy. The thing is, though, it was released in 1930, and it just screams 1930s early film, because when nothing's happening on screen, when nobody's talking, you can just hear a fuzz, and it just feels so flat, and I absolutely hate it. And I understand it may be the restoration, I understand it's a product of its time, that effect that it made, but watching it now, it just really doesn't help. This could be, due to a poor restoration of the film. I'm not sure. I watched it on streaming, so yeah, just not something I'm a big fan of. Then I watched American Gangster, the most mediocre thing I've seen. It's just oh my God, it just doesn't do anything for me. It did nothing. And then I watched Roman Holiday. Now, I'm not the biggest romance fan. I enjoyed the scenery of Rome, of Italy. And Audrey Hepburn was great. I think Gregory Peck was okay. He was fine. I'm not a massive Gregory Peck fan. It has god-awful pacing. That the pacing was so bad. And the romance, I didn't really feel much. There was nothing to really engage me in the film. I was just kind of sat there, and nothing really much to engage me, unfortunately. And then I watched The Man Who Shot Liberty Valance, which was good. I wasn't expecting certain points of the film to take a certain turn. I enjoyed moments of it, but maybe I'll have to watch it again. Maybe I didn't appreciate it fully. Then I watched Detour, and the beginning of this film, wow, for a film released in 1945, it was great, like, whoa. The pacing of it is great. I mean, it is only 67 minutes long, little over an hour long, and it just creates such a great film. And then I watched Sons of the Desert, my first Laurel and Hardy film. It was really funny as well. Really good time. Then I watched The Last Picture Show, which was not for me really. I could see what he was doing, but I didn't care for it. Then I watched Blonde Venus, which was great. I really loved it, actually. Dietrich, do I have to mention how stunning she is in this film? It takes really unexpected turns for something that was released in 1932, and of course Sternberg's direction is always so precise, and I had no idea Cary Grant was in this, so that was always a delightful surprise. Then I watched Fedora. This was in Mubi's kind of section of films that didn't really work out, of films that kind of failed, perfect failures I think they refer to them as. This I really enjoyed. You've got William Holden. This is 1978, so William Holden's quite old in the film, but he's great. And they're kind of retreading certain themes they explored, him and Billy Wilder, in Sunset Boulevard. But this goes into a more deeper thing of age of actresses and things, and there is a big twist revealed. I want to say towards the end, but then when the twist is revealed, we have about 40 to 30 minutes of explaining every inch of the twist. And some of it was interesting, but some of it wasn't. Then I watched The Duelists. This was Ridley Scott's directorial debut, his first feature. This was so strong, I couldn't believe it. I was like, wow, this guy's first feature. Of course it isn't, phenomenal or anything. It felt like they just watched Barry Lyndon and just kind of, copied its style a lot, which was quite annoying. But it was very nicely paced, good performances, but not something I connected with, and it didn't really grab me. Then I watched Morocco. This is very similar to Roman Holiday. It's a romance thing. It was the first kind of straight up romance that Dietrich and von Sternberg did, and I just was bored with it. Then I watched Grand Prix. This was excellent. This was great. I really enjoyed this more than I was expecting to. The filmmaking techniques in it were just great, and I couldn't believe it for the time. 1966, John Frankenheimer's direction is great. The cast, the four kind of characters in this. I'm not a massive car fan, but I enjoy racing, and I never known a film to do it so well. It is the greatest racing film I've ever seen, and I don't think anything can really rival it. Then I rewatched The Darjeeling Limited, which I talked about in the latest episode of the Criterion Corner. Then I watched The Father, which was quite good, really. Hopkins gives a superb performance. It's heartbreaking, and it's something that I'll probably have to watch again. Then I watched Oliver, Best Picture winner from 1968, and it was good. It was kind of your by the books musical, and that's about it. It went on for a little too long for my liking. So yeah. And then I watched The English Patient. Okay, so this is your typical Oscar winner. It's massive Oscar bait, and I wanted to enjoy it because I really like Ralph Fiennes. He's one of my favourite actors. But it's just this is just another romance, and it bored me so much. I just was bored out of my skull. Then I watched The Devil is a Woman. This was, again, the way it's structured is so good because it's non-linear for 1935 film, and it really gets across the story really well, and it keeps it more engaging for me. Then I watched They Live by Night. This is kind of maybe the OG kind of lovers on the run film. It's released in 1948. Of course, I think Bonnie and Clyde have a lot to the film, not the people. The film has a lot to kind of owe to this one, because this film may be, like I said, the OG version of this style, like Badlands as well. These two people who love each other, criminals and things. When things weren't happening, and I think they dwelled too much on the romance, and I preferred watching kind of the crime of it, because the crime bits, not only were they more entertaining to watch, but they were just well shot and just well, choreographed and things. Then I watched Dishonored, which was good. I think it'll prove on rewatch. There's a great party scene in it. Maybe because it used a particular piece of music which I love. The concept was great, it's well written, great story, and of course, always well directed. Then I rewatched Fistful of Dollars. This isn't as good as I remember it being, unfortunately. I think I gave it a 4.6 when I first watched it, and I don't know what I was thinking. Even though it's great, like don't get me wrong, people. It is a really good film, and I'd definitely recommend it, not only because it's got a fantastic musical score by Ennio Morricone, but it's just, you know, one of those Sergio Leone westerns. I think his style is not as refined as, you know, in his other works, but the editing's still good. It's got a great, really, really well paced as well. So yeah, there's nothing like inherently terrible about the film. But then I watched The Scarlet Empress, which was probably the best von Sternberg film I've seen. It's his largest in scale. The direction was so good, the editing, the camera work, it's ahead of its time. Really fantastic stuff. And then I watched Beverly Hills Cop with Eddie Murphy. I was expecting quite a comedic film because it's got Eddie Murphy in, and it is funny. Eddie Murphy is so charismatic. I could watch that guy for hours. He's just so good. He's just a great actor, you know, like he's not a Daniel Day-Lewis or anything like that, but he's just kind of like an actor who, he's just so charismatic. What can I say? Then I watched Predator. I know many people love this film. They think it's brilliant and whatnot. For me, it's just your typical 80s action blockbuster. It also has no tension. Personally, I felt no tension in the film, so that was a massive, massive bad thing, actually, about the film. And then finally, I finished off the month with For a Few Dollars More, which I actually haven't seen up until this point. And yeah, I love how Leone is such a visual storyteller, and the first 30-40 minutes were great. His films are always so well edited and visual, and you know, within the first 30 minutes, everything's just set up and there's barely any kind of dialogue to it. It's just kind of like, okay, this guy's there, this is what's going to happen. Okay, this guy's there, this is what they've done to get a bounty, because they're bounty hunters. This is what they've done, and this is what they've dealt with for bounty hunters with $1,000, $2,000 bounties. Then you've got this other bounty hunter that's got a $10,000 bounty. What the hell could go there? Because, you know, anyway, I enjoyed that aspect of it, you know, just how well written it was, and it's big inspiration for me, I think, and something I can learn from. So there we have it, everyone. That was every film that I watched in last month, which was quite a lot. You know, I watch films. You know, sometimes I regret watching so many films because I got to record this video, but hey ho, that's what it was. I did watch a few short films as well, but they were Buster Keaton short films. Those films were included in that number of 74. I think I watched I didn't watch huge tons of them. I didn't think I included many of them in this video just because, well, I watched them on their own and it's quite hard to, you know, it's quite hard to get hold of them, find information on them. Some of them are even, you know, really, really hard to watch. One of them I couldn't even find to watch anywhere, so, you know. But anyway, thank you all so much for watching, and of course, I will see you again in the next video.